for a very special evening. An evening where we have a book launch from one of our dearest friends, Archana Krishnamurthy. A book which holds a very, very special place in her heart, in her life, and we are all very privileged and very happy here to be a part of it, Archana.
Thank you. Thank you.
So welcome all. And before we go ahead, I know many of you do know who Archana is, but I had to make a few notes. You see, you shouldn't skip a few details when you're introducing an up-and-coming budding author. So we've got Archana Krishnamurthy here, who coming with an experience of over 27 years in leadership positions, and today is the founder of the Conscious Living Center. She's a certified executive coach, a motivational speaker, and a social entrepreneur. She has been a student of spirituality for the past 15 years, and today is with us to launch her very first book. Yay! I'm 18 today. So I'm not supposed to clap, but please do. Please join me in applauding Archana for this wonderful book of hers, which is here wrapped. We will unwrap it very, very shortly, but not before I introduce our very special guest panelists who are here with us to lead and participate in a very interesting discussion about the book, about life, about Archana, and about this evening. We have with us Mr. Biren Ghosh. Biren, who is the country head for Technicolor in India. He's a business architect and recognized as an industry leader in India, driving policies and initiatives and influencing educational and business initiatives across new digital platforms. His vision of storytelling through visual graphics have seen his studio work with some iconic properties and awards, including 7 Emmy Awards, and his Bangalore studios have won the VFX Con Gold in 2014, 15 and 17. His passions, apart from reading and being a voracious reader, include art and music, jazz in particular, tennis and photography. Mr. Biren. Nice to have you with us, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have also Suchitra, Dr. Suchitra Kaul Mishra, who is a doctor of philosophy specializing in therapeutic humor, addressing special as well as not so special needs. She is on the board of 2 public listed companies, is a social activist and a healing gardener as well. She is also the chairperson of the Karnataka chapter with the All Ladies League. Wow. Everyone? Wow. Suchitra. And finally, we have Anu Krishna, who is the founder of Wordweave and is a certified creative writer, coach, and a diploma in art therapy. She freelances with Deccan Herald and is a writer for other e-publications and magazines as well. Her favorite part of writing is weaving stories, and her favorite part in life, that's the most important part, is bringing a smile on people's faces as a personal transformation and happiness coach. Wow. And as for myself, my name is Lovina Rangel. I am a speaker, a writer, a person. Above all, I'm here today as Archana's friend and moderating today's panel session. And you can come to know more about me much later, but today the focus is going to be on Archana and her book. So welcome everyone, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here today with all of us. So before we go any further, we have to first unveil what we are here to see. So Archana?
Yes. So may I request all of you to please. I would like to request my sister Aarti and Revati ma'am here. And Mr. Cyrus, please come and join. And please do the honors, please.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. So click one bit.
One bit.
Yeah, one minute.
Actually, I will one. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I don't have to buy it.
Where do we look? Which
I know exactly. We're confused.
Look at everyone, from left to right.
Start first on the right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, right. Eyes right. Eyes center. Eyes left. Yes.
Thank you.
And far left.
Photographers don't go away, we take picture with the book.
Yes. That's so sweetly do.
Even the rupee notes come just a bundle on this.
You know, I have wrapped it and it's so precious
Oh.
for me.
Nice.
Please don't forget to pose with him because he's our professional photographer.
All eyes here.
Are you getting all of us?
Yes.
Yes. On top.
And our faces, yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
God bless. God bless.
I think you have to sign in here, no?
That I'll do later. I'm so sorry. I didn't know the protocol. I will do that for everybody.
Right. So yay, I'm 18, everyone. And when I first heard of Archana's book, I knew about the book before I knew the title. And when I did see the title, the first thing that came across was, wow, it's an interesting title, and I wonder what it's all about, because I know that Archana is definitely not 18 right now. So Archana, tell us a little bit about the book. Why this title?
I have been thinking about writing a book for a long time. In fact, this was something that was being suggested to me by a lot of people since last 5 to 7 years. And I kept writing, but it never ended because every time I sat down to write, I had a different area of my life, and having lived 47 plus years, I'm telling you the truth. So there was a lot to talk about and write, and I was losing my focus. And I think the day I decided, that what's the message that I really want to give and to whom? I realized actually it's to specifically two categories of people. One who are starting their adult life, and to one who are going through midlife crisis. So I was like, hey, then why don't I restrict what I'm going to tell from my own life, taking from 18 to 40. And I said, okay, let's start the journey. From where? How did I feel when I was 18 and I started the journey? So there came, yeah, I'm 18.
Oh, that's interesting, because I think for the most of us, 18 does ring that first bell of independence.
Yes, absolutely. So we come out with this dreamy thing, what life will be like, and now I want to make my own decisions, and we are hoping for our career, our life to be so many things, and then life hits us, and then the roller coaster ride begins, and we adjust through the life and learn to live the life ultimately. But on the roller coaster.
Right. So then the book is basically a memoir of sorts.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So tell me more about this, because memoirs take a bit of you, don't it?
Oh yes.
So what was the writing experience like?
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, actually that's a very, very interesting question, because there were a lot of feelings. Like when I started writing, I thought I might hurt somebody. There may be something that I want to talk about which really actually mattered in my life and shaped me who I am today, and it's important to say, but at what cost do I want to say that, and do I really need to say that, and will everybody relate to it, and stuff like that. So I think there was a lot of emotional thing that you go through. But ultimately at one point when I could decide what's the main message I want to give, actually I could filter out a lot of other things that I felt were not necessary to be included. They're there. It was not like from 18 to 40 only these things happened what's mentioned. There are a lot more things that happened, right? But these are indicative of the kind of things, and I just wanted to, actually this whole intention is not to tell my story as much as it is about telling people don't give up.
Okay.
Things happen, and if I could get over it and come out of it without being bitter and happy in life, and I can still laugh and smile every single day, so can you. And the reason for really, thank you. And the real reason for getting me there was, every day in the newspapers when I started reading young kids jumping off buildings and committing suicide, few months old getting raped, young educated adults scheming and killing each other. I really felt there is something really wrong. Who is not facing problem? All of us have our own problems, and all of us can write books about it, and all of us have had learnings. But why some of us are giving up? What is it that we are missing? So I just wanted to do my little contribution for those people who are looking for some hope in life. That's the idea.
Yeah, it is that that catharsis that we experience in writing, and we'll explore more about why people write, why we write, why Archana has written, and but before we go ahead, Archana, would you like to share something from your book so that those of us who haven't yet read the book, and before you go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, the book is on sale. You can get your own signed copy here at Artigalata. Make sure that Archana doesn't leave your side without signing it and posing for a picture, and put it up on Facebook and social media, and put it up everywhere. But Archana.
Sure. So there are, obviously this whole book is about me and things that really matter to me and are very touching. So, it was difficult, frankly, when you asked choose a couple of, paragraphs that you might want to read. I didn't know which ones to select, so I selected far too many. But I will try to read just one or two, and I hope it connects with all of you who are here. One of the things, when many of us, especially as women, go through problems in our life, especially with married life, and people simply come out and ask, why did you take that? And I just want to read out what I've written about that part. Many people, as they hear my personal story, ask me, why did you not leave? Why did you take that nonsense? Why did you not speak to someone? And so many logical and reasonable questions. But let me tell you all, as someone who has gone through this, it is not as easy as it seems. Logic and reasoning section is blurred with all the emotions that wells up within you. It even blocks your intellect and vision. As days, months and years pass and you don't understand your situation, you start unconsciously avoiding to even think about it. You definitely have no hope of finding answers for questions you cannot frame. So this is one segment. The second is, okay, life is This section is about the time I have made many bold and what people call as courageous decisions in my life.
Yes.
I have even moved on from my married life, gone and joined a spiritual organization, accepted a guru and so on. So all of you can imagine what it is like. But the interesting part was when I went and asked my father, unfortunately he was not alive and I'm probably missing him the most today here, as to if he's okay with my decision. And all of you who are fathers here, you can imagine if a daughter of yours is coming and saying, can I just leave my family and just go off to a spiritual path, and are you okay with it? And what are you going to say? But this is what he had to say. He just heard me, what all I had to say, and then this is what he said. At the end of it, as I looked up to him, I saw his softened face looking at me with a mix of love, affection, and concern. He said in the calm manner he was known for, you know what? What you just shared with me is something I have heard and read, but have not been through myself. So frankly, I don't think I'm qualified to guide you in this matter. I'm happy for you though, and believe that your spiritual father, your guru, will be the best person to guide you at this point. So please speak to him and do as he says. I can only say that as always, I trust you and I am with you in your decision. Till the time I am alive, for whatever reason you will find me here to give you whatever support I can. So you have my blessings to go ahead as per your wish and your guru's advice. However, as a father, you can understand, I am concerned about you. So I will share a few things that I have seen in my life with people who went to ashrams and gurus with similar sentiment. I want you to hear it attentively, give a careful thought, and make whatever decision you feel is right. Because whatever be the result of your decisions, only you have to face.
That is quite moving when you think of it. So, especially when it comes to memoirs, writers pour their hearts out, right? And I'll give you a moment because I can sense, I can see that it's a very special moment, and we will come back to it if you'd like to share with us in a bit. But I want to come to Biren at this point in time because when you started your session, when this particular section, Biren did make a very audible yes. So Biren has been a very important person in your journey as well, and you're here as our panelist and our very special guest. So Biren, what would you like to share about Archana and the book?
So first of all, I think it's very, very special, and thank you for having me here. It's I don't know what I did to deserve it, but here I am. So I'd like to start by reading a few lines, a quotation. I was possessed by something else. I guess that's how you feel when you have absolute clarity about what you are doing or what you are meant to do in life. That was not a quote from Socrates. That was a line from Archana's book. I have only known Archana in the past decade. And when I think of her, I think of a person with a great generosity of spirit. And a generosity of spirit in my book is greater than being generous in any other way, including with money. It's tougher and it's more valuable. So true to character, I think Ye I Am 18 takes a 47-year roller coaster ride and presents this in a way that I think everyone will be able to relate to. It is said that life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. We've all heard this for many, many years. And this story, therefore, is potentially yours or mine, and it brings home how sudden and unexpected life events can be. Archana talks about the shifting sands and the relationships that you expect to be bedrock, right? With your parents, with your husband, with your colleagues, even God. And how these relationships themselves can have tumultuous peaks and valleys, and how you deal with them. And I think that comes out very strongly in the book. And her roller coaster makes me think, and I thought that while dreams are pretty, because it starts earlier talking about the dream, while dreams are pretty, truth can be quite ugly. And the way to deal with them is to figure out whether you can go through the roller coaster with your eyes closed, or whether you go through a roller coaster with your eyes open and enjoying the ride. And that's, I think, is the kind of metaphor that this book really makes one think about. What impresses me about Archana is, and that is really in this book, I'm seeing this all the time, every page I turned over, is that she is blessed with a few things. One is a universal kindness. The second is great humility. And thirdly, a tireless passion for educating and sharing optimism. And she described the purpose of a book that I didn't know, but when she opened her comments, it's that willingness to share optimism. And this is exemplified in her book when she says, I believe I am meant to help others with the understanding I have received from life and its circumstances. The fact that there were many battles to be fought in life, but I could still come out of it with learning and no bitterness is for a reason, and that reason is probably you. That's what the book says. So Archana has, and we've talked about this already, a deeply spiritual side, and has chosen to use her life experiences to help others. It is my belief that in the process of lifting others, you become the ladder. And being that ladder is the most powerful credit that a storyteller can ever have. In life, we tend to repeat ourselves. And the same patterns are repeated in different scenarios. So we're doing things again and again, just the backdrop is different. And if we do not counter this with determination and awareness and a renewed sense of direction, we tend to continue those same cycles. Everything in the solar system is cyclical. This book shows us that things happen to us as a child, in school, in college, in a marriage, in a job, in friendships, and we continue to see these cycles repeating themselves and kind of keeping us in a bondage. But we are also told that we can transcend out of one cycle to another. Archana understands these concepts better than I, and her stints at the ashram and in her general spiritual quest would probably have helped her to understand that while astrology tells us how we are bound by these cycles, spirituality teaches us how we can break through and move between them. I am grateful for Archana's acknowledgement, calling me a mentor, friend, and elder brother. I believe a good friend is one who has the courage to tell you that you are doing something wrong or messing up and still be loving and nice to you. I guess that's how I qualified. I, however, accord Archana the same privilege. For each of us, every day starts as an empty page and we project our life upon it. Each of us is a book in the making, but yea, we are 18. I hope that I am wrong in my prediction that yea, I am 18 will not win a Pulitzer Prize. I truly believe that it's not the book that's unputdownable, it's the author that's unputdownable.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That is lovely. Yes, very great. I do agree, and thank you for actually showing us that side of Archana. Because as readers, even if you do not know someone, when you pick a book, when you go to a library, and we are in Atagalata, we put all these books, to pick a book from the bookshelf and to just read the blurb and a little bit about the author gives us a little bit of an exciting feel that we know someone. But when you attend a launch or you hear someone personally sharing their experience of the author, of how they've seen the author evolve, that gives a very, very personal touch. And so I'd like to actually now explore the other side of the writing, because for every author, you need a writer. You need a reader, sorry. Readers make the authors. Readers actually pick up on what the author has tried to explore. So, Suchitra, you were one of the first people who read the book. You read the book even before I did.
That's true.
And tell me, what was your experience on reading the book?
First, I want to say that 2 days ago, I got laryngitis and I went voiceless. And I thought I experienced a bit of how you went voiceless for a very long time. For me, it was 2 years. For you, it was probably 20 years. And I'm so glad you found your voice. And like he described so vividly, the roller coaster, you were there, right there, through the lows and hitting rock bottom. But you didn't give up. You brought yourself up together and found the balance, got in tune with your inner self, your inner voice, and then now you are there lifting others. What could be more beautiful than that? I think this is a beautiful gift you've given to everybody. You mentioned an age group, okay? And now let me tell you, I'm maybe a decade ahead, but I could relate to it, yes. And what I felt, because there's not so much dialogue in the book, it's more like a monologue, and I don't know whether it was subconsciously because of that picture you have right in the beginning where there's a lady looking out from what is I look at it as a train window. Yeah. So for me, I felt like I'm a passenger in this train, and like in the good old days, there would be this lady sitting opposite, and I would just start chatting, and she would start telling me everything about her life, her experiences, and what she learned from them. And it was so personal, so open, so cozy, and so intimate, you know. So you really bowled me over. The moment I started reading, I think it's a very reader-friendly book to answer your question, yes. And it's a slice, not only a slice of life, it's a slice of her life. So we know it's that much authentic. And I saw two Archanas. I saw one who was very fearful, very timid, very much, conscious of all that conditioning. And then I saw a fearless Archana. At the same time, during the same period, when she's out of the house, my God, she can just go through any struggle, any challenges from the office, whether it's the photocopier machine or whether it's the typewriter, and all that politics, and you win them over, So then it was how the two converge, It's like an invitation also. and you bring it home to yourself, you discover yourself, you find that courage. And that was, it's really incredible. You have to read the book to see her, the nuances of her journey. But with your permission, I want to read a passage which really hit me hard too, okay? And it's right after the assault, so I'm not going to read the description, but what was going through your mind, if it's
Absolutely,
fine,
please.
all right.
You have it.
I have it on the pillow.
It's a digital copy.
Yes. I had never been hit by anyone in my life. No one had even spoken with so much hatred. I had never seen my parents even have a verbal fight. I did not grow up with my siblings, so did not even have the experience of sibling fight. My teachers were friendly, and friends were friends. So I was wondering, what exactly had happened? I had gone numb. Then my mind was running full speed, thinking, as my parents used to warn me, do I speak too much? Or is this what happens in marriage? And in order to get along, I need to learn to adjust and compromise in life. Or is this what someone meant when they said, I was brought up with too much love and affection, so much so that I had not matured enough as an adult. I was looking for the answer to my question, what is my problem? What did I do? Now this, when I was reading, I just keep thinking about it because it hits the reader hard. And you wonder, yes, all the time the zone, the whole area is, it's about me. The question never pops up, how dare he do that? And did it never really cross your mind? No. Isn't that amazing? That is. And to come from that to where she is today, I think we need to give her a round of applause.
Thank you, Sujitra. Yes, again, I have to come back to where memoirs work and the kind of work, inner work that is there, the purging that happens when someone's putting out their story, putting things in perspective, working through it, using words to actually get through life. So as we're talking about words, and in this moment, I think this is the right time to speak with Anu. Words, Anu, I know you've worked extensively with words, with art as therapy, with writing as therapy. What do you have to add to this entire experience?
First of all, thank you so much for having me here. Immense gratitude being a part of this journey. Thank you, Archana. So, after a long time, this was one book that I finished end to end. Okay, I didn't stop anywhere. And I remember my kids were asking me for dinner and I said, it's there back in the kitchen, don't disturb me. So that says a lot because I know I can have very poor attention span. So this really caught my attention. So when we talk about words, Lovina, I mean there are two things that run right from page 1 till the end is unwavering faith and seamless hope. That's something that I saw run through the book. Yeah, and to me, it was like for me, it was an out of body experience. It wasn't me anymore. It's like this could have been me. This could have been any woman. So if somebody else is going to be reading this, there's a message of faith and hope that's right across the horizon, and that is something that really, really caught my attention. So to answer the word part, yes, that is the one thing. Secondly, I also saw that, which is very hard to come by these days, is three things: simplicity, candid, and authentic. These three things, again, run through the book. We don't live in the life of being simple, candid, or authentic. I could see that run through every emotion, every theme, every chapter it was there. And that's a piece of you, like Ravina was saying. When we are writing memoirs, there's a piece of us in every single word. And that's, yeah, it's beautiful.
I agree. Thank you.
And yes, as usual, Suchitra being, going first, she stole my passage. So yeah, so I knew she might steal my passage. So I have a backup copy, We always, in this digital age, we need to have backup, right? So which is what I did, being that. So can I read?
Sure,
yeah.
please.
So, and I made sure that I don't forget the page number. I think it was 39. Sorry. So I'm not going to give you what and after what and think, so I'm just going to go ahead and read this, yeah. So it says, a few days later, we were getting on to the train to head back home, and the entire in-laws family had come to send us off. I was quite happy till I noticed that my father was taking my fiancé and his father away in turns and talking to them. I had never seen my father do that before. Anyway, I kept my mouth shut then. But as soon as we got onto the train and the train started moving, and this is what I liked the sentence, I asked my father, Anna, what was all the confidential talk happening with the broadest smile possible? Look at what's hidden behind that, that's what I liked. I had never seen my father so angry before. If we were not in public, I am sure he would have hit me. He just said between grinding teeth, for God's sake, after all the disrespect you have caused me with your stupid behavior, just shut up. I'm sure he didn't mean that, but I'm sure what was happening. I was shocked. I had never been scolded by him like that. I was supposed to be his favorite of the 3 kids. And he was my ideal dad, my hero. I instantly hated whoever had caused this bitter change in the friendly and trusting relationship that had existed so far between us. For me, this paragraph was such a beautiful exchange. There was an internal dialogue that was going on in her, in her mind, the inner voice. At the same time, she was talking to her father. There's so many questions that's running. I found this affectionate, so candid, and just out there, so authentic of you, and that's what I liked. And very simple. There's one book, let me tell you, you don't have to take out. There are a lot of books where we're looking at the dictionary. There are words that I don't know. You will not put this book down, and thank you so much for that. And please clap for her again. Thank you.
Right. Everyone repeated the word authenticity, and authenticity cannot be understated. It just cannot. You can't use big words to wrap authenticity around. You can't. And the simpler you keep it, the realer it gets. And in these few shares, Archana, I am just constantly reminded of the times when you were asked to shut up. And putting it down on paper is an opening up.
Yes.
What was that like?
Difficult. It was like fighting within myself. Generally, people who have known me for some time, they know it's hard for me not to be authentic. Sometimes the world demands that, we call it with different names, diplomacy to, whatever. But I think that's a side, for good or bad, like I find it difficult. So when, I had 2 choices, like either I exclude these sections and just keep things within myself and continue to do that, or I open it up. But I think if my whole intention was to help others who might be in my situation, then for them, I did this. And by doing this, I have hurt some people. And as I have mentioned in my book, actually, although many things happened, I have tried to keep the relationships going in a working condition. And intention is definitely not to really hurt anybody. But I thought I have to be true to my objective of writing the book. And that's the audience that I'm talking about. And if I'm really meaning to help them, then I can't just be all safe and just do that. So I had to open up. It was tough, but I did that, and I'm glad I did that.
I'm sure. And I'm curious now. I know you've got your sister here in the audience, and your family who's been there with you through the book, through the story, through all of it. How have these close relationships been effective in memoir writing?
Wow. Okay.
Okay, sorry. Just to be clear, I did ask her before what she wants me to ask, and she said, "Ask anything."
See, we were there.
You were there, right?
Yeah, I was
Yes.
there.
So yes, I think when we are very close to somebody, this is my personal realization, if I may call, that we have our own perception of the person, be it our child, be it our sister, be it whatever, and it is hard to actually see them any other way. So I was the youngest in the family. So, youngest in the family is supposed to be like somebody who needs to be advised and cared for, and people tell you, the adults will tell you what's right for you, and you do that by trusting them. And the intention always is very good, there's no doubt about that. Right? Your own parents, your own family, their intentions cannot be wrong, maybe, right? So, suddenly the day when I started really voicing out something, it was hard for me because I had never done that and never spoken up about what I feel. I didn't even know to some extent what I feel. But when I started doing that, I think they found it very strange. Like what happened to her, like, it's like, is she losing her mannerisms or something? Like, one is that, right? And especially being the youngest. The second thing was, as my sister herself has been mentioning for a long time now. See, the thing is, as I have mentioned in my book, siblings we didn't actually grow up together. So what I meant by that is there was an age difference in the place where we were, growing up. We didn't have the higher education, availability. So she was already married. My sister was married when I was 12. When I was 7, she moved out to college. So you can imagine what memories I have, right? So there is no sibling relationship even we developed, right? I know, but yeah, she's my sister. Brother is just about 1.5 years, difference from her. So it's same story. So by 8.5, he was gone. So frankly, for me, in my head, I grew with my parents as a single child. So when I had to reach out and talk, like many people say, yeah, you had your sister, why didn't you talk? It didn't even occur to me. It was not like I didn't want to, or she didn't have the answers, or she could not have helped. But frankly, I didn't think of it. It didn't come to me. Right? And frankly, I think, if I may, speak from her side, because now we talk a lot about it, and we feel that, we never understood also each other much, because again, we were like two individuals who grew up separately. We are brothers and sisters and all of us, but we really didn't know each other much, and we had difficulty in understanding each other. And especially, as I said, we were not very much expressing in too many words. Everything elder said something, we will do, and that's it. And she had her own relationship with parents. I had my relationship with parents. My brother had a relationship with parents. But between us, at least I don't have a memory when we would all sit together and discuss anything like that. So I think it was difficult for them to really even understand where am I coming from, what am I talking about. And I think my brother got a little upset. He felt by reading this that somewhere my father is not even alive, and I'm trying to put the blame on him for all the problems that happened in my life, and which is really unfair. I understand, and I realize that each one has their own perspective, and my intention was not that again. But as I said many times in life, our intentions are something, but our actions can cause something. But this was something that I did quite a bit knowingly, if I may say, that this could happen. But I had to choose. Then why write even? If I don't want to hurt, then don't do anything. If you walk out of your house, you open your mouth, there is a possibility you're hurting somebody or something. At least you're doing it for a cause, then stay true to the cause. And I just hope that he will, come around and he'll be okay with it and understand that I was not really meaning to do that. But actually, my sister took it very well, frankly. You have to give her kudos. Actually, I don't know how she took it so well. She actually just wrote back immediately. I read that book. It's amazing. I couldn't keep it down. Actually, her reaction was something like what you said. I read it in one go. So frankly, good if you can hear from her side.
Means from the beginning, from childhood, actually she was a very good orator. Means I used to tell her when she used to come from school, we were going to the same school also. But when I came back from school, there was nothing to tell to parents. I was very quiet. But she had a full story to tell. My teacher did this, my friend who was sitting next to me did this and that. Then I should tell her, because this was happening every day. So I should tell her, I'll give you chocolate, can you just keep quiet for 5 minutes? This is what she was. I was totally different. My personality is, I'm not, means, okay, I try to solve my things like this. No, as you all know, everybody has their own problems. Each person's personality is different. So this book also, I have taken it as she is a different individual.
Right.
Okay, we are having the same parents, but that is her perspective of what she looked, because that is her 360-degree view of her life.
Right.
Because I may be having, we have so many times we have told her, why did you do this? Why you should have done that at that time? We used to, throughout her life, everything was happening. But now when I read that book, I took it just means she is a different individual. This is how she feels it. She has put it down. That's all. Means I just cut it off there.
Oh, that's lovely. That is.
And the way she has written, that's why I was telling her, I was encouraging her, you can write books. It's means way it's written. It's quite interesting.
You're not going to give her a chocolate to stop writing another?
Maybe if she continuously writes it, then I'll have to give her chocolate to stop
Then
writing.
you'll have to get chocolates along all the time.
Anyways, it's a win-win for me.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Aarti. So yes, now you see, when I see this relationship now, it's about sisters, and then there was the shares that like what Suchitra read and how you expressed. They're women's stories. And I'm very, and I'd like to ask you, Biren, at this point in time, because yes, not only because you're surrounded by all the women around here at this point in time,
I'm not complaining.
I know you aren't. You shouldn't. But my question here is, how would you think of the story or the book as a book for an audience, as opposed to a book written by a woman with women's sentiments? Would you see that as something that's more universal?
No, I'm surrounded every day by 3,000 young people. The reason I'm here, I'm 18, is because in our team where I work, we have an average age of 27. And they really are 18-year-olds. And we've had great times, and they're a lovely bunch of people. They're from all over the country. But underlying everything that they go through, I don't know if it's the world around them, but I see that they are able to deal with their life with a greater amount of turmoil and stress than, for example, when I was surrounded by colleagues at that age. So I think that's also a sign of the times today, that things are far more complex. I think in a sense it's just society. There are more choices, there's more opportunity, there's more freedom to speak, and that causes a lot of things around you. So I think that this book is it applies to all ages, but I think it will reach out to, and I don't see it as a woman book or a man book. I don't see it that way. Nothing about the book tells me that this is a story. It's a gender specific book. It is only gender specific in terms of how society sees women, and that's a reality. But I think the truths in it are universal. And I think the truths in it are universal because it talks about the fact that as life becomes more complex, irrespective of education, background, social status, wealth, etc., there is this ability to get stuck, to feel stuck. And men feel that and women feel that. There are 40 and 50 and 60-year-old executives who feel they're stuck in their job. right? There are people who are starting out who feel they are in the wrong career. There are people in college who felt that they wanted to do arts but they are doing science or medicine. So there's a feeling of being stuck everywhere, and this is really about addressing that entrapment that you feel for whatever reason you feel it, and then you go numb and you don't know how to voice it. And I think those are universal truths that can apply. The examples are actually specific to Archana's journey, but the syndrome is quite universal. So I see it from that point.
Right. Thank you for that. Thank you, because that really puts a lot of things into perspective, especially these days. So many of us think that issues are very gender specific. They're very specific. So a memoir of this kind today is very a need of the hour of sorts, when you open up to everyone. Suchitra, Anu, we see women, we work with women day in and day out. Both of you also. What would you think? Do you see this as something that is a social impact?
Definitely. I think it talks to your conscience, you know, and even to your inner self, to the person who is perpetrating the crime or the one who is bearing the violence. You know? So it's on either side, wherever you are, you can relate to it. Yes. And what she said about looking at it from one side, that I felt was very clear in the disclaimer that she put right in the beginning, when she said that you know, I know I'm going to hurt people, and this is my side, so forgive me. But after going through so much, what is fascinating is that there is no self-pity ever in the book. I mean, forget grudge, that's not there at all, but no self-pity either. So kudos to you for that. And of course, the spirit. That spirit comes out, shining through. We see it on you and here as well. That's what we need to, tap in ourselves in whatever situation, big or small. It's at that time when you're going through it, it may not. You are assaulted, you know. Whatever be that from somebody else's point of view, it may be a small thing, but it's a very big deal for you at that moment. So you need to know that hope is just around the corner. Just take it. You know, that's the message I got, and when I read through the whole thing, and in the end, I had a very good feeling. Thank you for that.
So when we talk about social impact, definitely, like I said, this could be the story of any woman, right? So yes, it will create that necessary social impact, and thank you for speaking up, rather writing up about it, because that is something that's going to encourage many more women. And I liked particularly the paragraph that Suchitra stole from me and read. Yeah, I'm reiterating that point. So there were the subtle questions, and as one goes through that paragraph, and when you read it and it makes that impact in the mind, people who are probably victims need not be the victims when you answer these questions for yourself. Like she asks, did I do something wrong? Like this could be, question any woman could have, when you're subject to that kind of an assault. So it makes one think, and that is the start point of an impact, according to me, because you become aware of your own thought processes. So that is something, for me, really, that paragraph really stood out for me. So yes, my answer would be yes. People reading this would definitely, and pick up your copies. I am lobbying for that. That's what my point is. I'm selling the book right now. So,
but she's not signing it.
I'm not signing it. Make sure I don't sign it. She will. So yes, you could, even if you've read it, you could gift it to somebody, because yes, our society is filled with a lot of people who can benefit from these kind of books. These kind of women who are brave enough to put down their experiences and write about it. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. So, great job on that.
Thank you, Anu.
just in case we are giving you a skewed picture of or a skewed understanding of what the book is, the book does not only speak about personal instances and then eventually the spiritual thing. There is also a good section on her professional aspirations and her professional experiences as well. So that's also there, which gives us a good 360-degree view of what individuals are today, you know, our lives, what they are about. It's not just about what's going on at home or what's going on the inside, but it's also about our professional exposure as women, as men, as individuals. But at this point, I would like to bring the beginning and the end of your book together, Archana, because very early on with your mother's tumor, you questioned God.
Yep.
And I don't want to take this on a God angle, but we'll have to touch up a little bit on it, because there is a spiritual side of the book as well. So, tell me about God.
Okay. The beauty about God is He reveals to you the way you want Him to reveal to you, or her to reveal to you. You know, I don't want Him to be gender specific now, so it could be right. And I think, you know, actually it's less important whether God exists or not. What is important is the hope that gives us to believe that He exists, and everything He will sort it out. So I think that's one thing. Number two, spirituality in my mind, I think, has been described in a very complex way for no reason. In my understanding, after going through 15 plus years of what I'm going through, I understand. I'll compare the word spiritual to two other words, natural and original. So the core word for natural is nature. Whatever still exists in the form it appeared in nature is called natural. Original, same way. Origin is the word, so the way something originated, if it's still in that form, it's original. Spiritual is simply the spirit. The way spirit is, if you just are that, you are spiritual. So if you have to become spiritual, my understanding is just drop everything else that we have acquired in the form of labelings. I think from the time we are born, from the time we are given a name, we gather so many labelings that in my mind, when I think of all of us, we are like those mummies with those bandages. Sorry, it's too visual, but that's how my mind works. But you know, so we just need to unwrap ourselves and then we are spiritual anyway. So I just think we complicate our lives, and when we go through this midlife crisis, just uncomplicate it, whether you call it spirituality or anything else you wish to call it.
Right. So at which I think this is the point where I ask you, as a memoir, as sections of what you've written, how much of closure do you feel at the end of the writing process, or when you saw the book in your hand? Because I personally know how excited and how wired Archana was right from the time she decided that she wanted to publish. And I think we were all part of that journey, weren't we?
Yes.
We saw those numerous posts and we said, I need this out. And when you saw this, how was that?
Raj here.
Yes,
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So basically, I have to thank actually Raj. She is one of our, all group members and chairperson of the Readers and Writers Forum. She invited me to a meeting, and I was all excited because meeting authors and getting their books right there and getting it signed from them, and it's always been fascinating for me. So I just landed up there. And when I actually met them, I realized they're as human as anybody else, including me. So, and they were very humble, I think, because of the group, because everybody else knew each other almost, and there were very few of us who didn't. So they were very open and very, humble and very available, and you could ask them anything. So I went straight on and asked everything that I wanted to ask, and I got all the questions answered in that 1 hour meeting. So at the end of the day, I just picked up one book by Mridula Sharma ji. Actually, she was supposed to come here, maybe couldn't. But she has written a book on self-publishing. if anybody ever is thinking about writing a book, just one should just read that. And that gave me, I picked up that book, it's almost the same, you know, kind of size, and I started, and I think I finished in one go. As you said, I didn't keep that book down. And it gave me step by step approach of how one goes about writing. I didn't even know the word manuscript. You know, you won't use this terminology. Like, so, you know, how from there you go to finding, you know, a publisher to ISBN number. I had never even thought of these kind of things. Copyright, when does it come? And all that, printing costs, how do you really manage your costs? How do you price a book? She has it all out there. And I think at the end of the book, that was the night, I kept it next to my bed, done. Next morning I got up, 15 days straight I had my manuscript out, and I had hired Raj to help me with self-publishing support. And she did a fabulous job of doing the layout and everything else that I didn't know how to really do, the technical support and everything else. And with her came all the connects and knowledge that she had gathered in all these years, which she really gave out without any inhibition. So that really made the process very, you know, it was like I couldn't lose my tempo. We were there. You know, sometimes what happens, you go one point and then like you are stuck somewhere, you don't get the answers, you don't get assistance, and then you feel you get busy with something else. But in this case, thanks to her, absolutely thanks to her, because of which I really could see it through before I could lose my patience and lose my interest in this. And it came out, and yeah, totally because of all that. So it was amazing. Closure, when you ask about closure, I think I started getting closure, if I may say. It has been a process for me. Because there's an entire personality, how do I say? There's an entire personality shift that has happened in me. And there are many things I don't want, that ingredients are still there. And I can feel it. I thought I'm done, I've got over it, but when there is a trigger, and I see like, oops, like that still exists, right? So I'm still working on myself. So a lot of things are happening. But when speaking assignments started coming, and I really started going out and talking in different forums, and especially when there were people who walked up to me and said, oh my God, this was great. I got the answer for my life, you know. I can sort this out. And then there were people who were calling me or writing to me and saying, you don't even know how what you said actually helped me sort out my problem. So I think a lot of closure actually came at those points when I really saw that at least somebody was benefiting out of that. And you know, okay, I went through, I can't get back what I have lost. But if I can, you know, have some people save their lives from going through some part of it, I just, you know, getting this little thing, let me do it. And when that started happening, I think that process started. And yes, it was a great feeling having the book in hand. And actually, you know, if I have to tell you the truth, the whole fact is still sinking in. The fact that I'm sitting here, I'm an author. Actually, so
signing, then you
I actually, one of the, where is he gone? Okay, yeah, yes. So when he asked me to sign his copy, I said, this is the, and my hands were shaking. The handwriting has not come out good. I said, I'm so sorry, this is the first copy. Although I practiced, to be truthful, but it didn't come out so well. So it's still sinking in. And actually I have to thank each one of you who have come here, and Biren. I have to say a couple of lines about Biren. Sorry, I mean, I don't know if this is the right place. Yeah, before you go. The relationship with Biren, everything else you have said, so I'm not going to repeat any of that. But he has been like a person who, I have no idea, Biren. You said probably I did this, so, you know, probably a relationship is like a friend or a brother. I frankly can't point that, because I really don't think you have ever said anything to me hurtfully. The biggest thing he has is, I've gone to him at my lowest points in life. He is a very, very, very busy person. Actually, I don't even know how I've got him for so long here. Like, you know, I hear people around who know him, Mr. Cyrus, you will agree. In India itself, to have him for so long is a big deal. So, but every time I have reached out to him with any problem, he has always taken time out and given. And he has always advised me as a mentor, as a brother. And it's about the way you do that way. Even when you say, Archana, you are an idiot, you make sure you say it in a way that I can accept and understand, because otherwise there is no point. And I realize that actually I have been an idiot. So I can change something about that. So there are not many people in this world that I have come across, and probably in my life, you're the only one like that. That has happened.
When you read your father's quote about his concern, that's how I feel about you.
And this is what I wanted to hear. You know why? My first connect, if I am correct, tell me, Biren, when we went to Goa, right?
Coincidentally, we met at a
film fair.
At a festival.
The frame box film something, right? Celebration. So we went in a flight, and we just before going into the film fair award, some function was there. So there was a few minutes. So few of us actually, went to his room, and we were just talking, and before we go to the celebration. And for the first time, actually, he asked about my background or something, that made me talk about myself. I didn't know the person. So the way I said was not overly emotional or anything, in my opinion. I was very matter-of-factly to a gentleman who I know, officially, and he's a very senior person, like he's not my level or something. So I'm just telling him matter-of-factly, I was married, but then I left, and then this happened, and therefore this happened. And I had no idea about his family background and all that also. And I could see his eyes wet. And then he mentioned one line, with your permission, if I may share. He said he's a father of 2 daughters. And this is his fear. That nothing like this should ever happen to anybody, and also to them. And I suddenly realized from then on, I have been only able to see, the father in him. So when I reach out to him, I just feel he has to understand. And sometimes I'm telling him in a way like, Biren, you better understand. You remember those days when we have had lunch and dinners, and in fact he was one of them who encouraged me to write. Because he was trying to tell something, I'm worried about my daughter, and I said, this is how my father was worried, but this is not the right kind of worry. It's not going to probably help your daughter, right, And I was telling a daughter's perspective, and it was interesting for him. He was like, I never thought about it from that way. I'm thinking as a father's, from the father's side. So I think it's been an amazing journey, and thank you, Biren. I'm extremely grateful.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've had quite a discussion, and if we have any more discussions, then I think you'll probably decide that you know the entire book by yourself, and we do not want that. So, do please realize that we have the book on sale. We have the book as a physical copy, and as well as those who would like the e-books, those are also there. But unfortunately, if you buy those, you don't get a signature. So, make your choice wisely. But at this point in time, I'd like to invite you all. We're all here. Archana is here. If you'd have any questions, any comments, anything that you'd like to share from today's discussion, yes.
I actually want to talk about Revati.
Okay.
Revati Kamath, she, has played a very important role in my life. She's mentioned in the book. And in fact, frankly, without taking her permission, I have mentioned about her, and later I kind of sent her a WhatsApp message or something like that, because I kind of take her for granted, because I feel the privilege that I can do that. When I came to Bangalore, she was introduced to me by one of my uncles, who was her elder brother. Right?
You were his favorite.
Yeah, that's true, right? But till then, strangely, we were not even aware of each other's existence so much. Like, although we were related, it's a little distant relationship.
That you are there.
Yeah? I didn't know. So, that's the thing. So finally, when we got connected, and his point was, if you're shifting to Bangalore, she is a very connected person. So just get along with her, and something will, you guys will work out. So we started simply going around. And I was like her assistant, with balloons and flowers.
First was Dasara event organizer.
Correct. Yeah,
So I
Mysore
took her
Dasara.
to S.L. Krishna's ministry, and I introduced her to S.L. Krishna's private secretary, this one,
Yes.
personal assistant.
Yes.
And we planned like Upasana International, she used to run, and mine was Calix. So Upasana International in coordination with Calix in coordination of Upasana International is going to organize Dasara event in Mysore, like Mysore Dasara. And then I got to know she is very powerful, I know. And at that time, I was and my brother told me, if you both join, you are going to do very big hangama like that. Because I was also doing very hard work, and she was also doing. And then at that time, I took her to Master's Gallery. I used to supply flowers to Master's Gallery. I had a small flower shop, and I used to organize events at that time. Later, I stepped into landscaping, and I'm a known landscaper in India.
She is one of the biggest landscapers, by the way.
Yeah, now in India.
Today. She does huge projects.
Buildings, everything. She's a
Huge projects.
landscapist.
And I started with only
And her son got
5,000
the best
rupees.
entrepreneur
That too,
of the
taking
year
that
ever.
5,000 rupees from my friend, and I started small way. And in the beginning of my business, she came along with me, and some events we did together. And then what I did, like I took her to Master's Gallery, where I used to supply flowers to them. Master's Gallery was in Indranagar, and now it is, what is the name?
Streisand's, but it's shut down now. Yeah,
shut
yeah.
down. And I introduced her to Maharaj. And then after that, so for 2-3 months, I think we were away like that, no? So I was busy in my life and she was. And then I got to know she joined Master's Gallery.
So this is the Ashram Connect. Ashram was running the art gallery, and she was actually my connect to the ashram.
Yeah, the Krishna consciousness. And
So
like,
I am totally indebted to her for my spiritual journey.
See, that I'm the starting
Yes.
point. And all were her, this one and yeah.
And she was a huge support when I came. We could talk to each other. She could relate to me. I could relate to her life. So we were actually, that time it was a huge support.
My life's journey was also not that great. And I used to get out of the house, itself was so tough for me to come out and do business.
Yes.
But I took it as a challenge and really did.
So that's exactly
Now,
when they say that
my-
everyone has got a book in themselves. So Archana,
Totally.
you've got a family member, you
So
can
now
return the
my-
favor by helping in
Absolutely.
developing the next
Oh,
book.
totally. She has a few books
So
that she
Archana
can
has done
Yeah.
that, she's been there, she's done that, and she's got the how to self-publish book as well.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Now with so much difficulty, I brought my sons up. Okay, now they are the well-known business tycoons in India. That last EY award my son got. Like this
He's
one,
very
Nitin
well
Kamath
known.
and
Nitin
Nitin
Kamath.
They are my sons.
But we
There
really
are a
would be
company
knowing
called
them.
Zerodha. He brought zero brokerage into India. You must be knowing Zerodha. Like that, no? That I have not left my this one. Like even bringing up my sons and even with my business and like
Her energy
Archana
is like
was a very
stopless.
like no, we have been planning to meet and discuss lots of things. Right now we will do it one day.
Right. So you've got a copy planned here.
Absolutely.
Right. So I'm again inviting all of you, ladies and gentlemen, you are all well-wishers. Archana mentioned one very, very important fact to me earlier. She said that almost all of you here are people who mean something very, very special to her.
Absolutely.
She said that everyone in here today has been very specifically special on her journey. So she's absolutely not feeling nervous. So if she's giving you any vibes, it's all fake.
I agree.
Yeah, completely. So it's got nothing to do with me and these peacock feathers. So that's what she said. So anyone would like to share something?
Yeah. I think it's so very important. What would the life be without reflection? It's life right from home to tomb is filled with expectation, war of expectations. And we all go through this journey. And life is also filled with a lot of events and moments. Some are worth reading, some are worth writing. And she has done both of it. And I'm sure we need to have much more coming out of her so that it stands as an example for everybody to probably get motivated to share their bit of moments and events in the life.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, please.
Okay, Archana, I haven't read the book yet. How many of you know Archana like around just before 1 month? Somebody?
More than 1 month?
More than 1 month?
Oh, more than 1 month.
No, not more than 1 month. एक महीने से पहले.
Actually, less than 1 month.
Less than 1 month.
Those who know me for less than 1 month.
Okay. I and Archana have met like what, just few weeks back. The moment, thanks to Vasu and Dinakar for introducing to Archana. Now, the very first statement that I mentioned to Dinakar, again Dinakar, thanks for bringing me here. The very statement that I just mentioned, I don't know, this woman brings a kind of energy when she's around. And today, Archana, I and Dinakar were doing back-to-back meetings right from the morning and even before coming. But some energy, he said like, no, we'll go have a short visit also. And that is what she radiates. And with a little bit of those meetings what we have had, I knew that there is a kind of a material in this woman which can radiate. And probably that is what, and she had mentioned about this book which released. And I will be very eager to read it. And I would say one of the radiating persons that I have met around.
I agree with him. Even my in-laws, when she comes to our place, they get so when she goes, oh, she's going now. She's really going now. When is she going to come back? They're really fond of her. The energy which she gives to everybody. Even my son is very fond of her.
Thank you.
But you just need to say we're very proud of you, dear.
Thank
Way to
you.
go, baby. Way to go.
Thank you so much. And thank you, really. It means so much to see each one, as you said, Lubin, again. Each one of them are amazing, amazing people in my life. And, I know how difficult it is to really take time out. They have kids, they have family, they have work. And it's a weekday, and it's evening, traffic time, and still, plus it's Bangalore, Mangala. I can't tell you, you guys are totally.
I have a question for you.
Yes, please. So,
the title of the book is quite interesting. My first question is, what is the background to that title? The second is, what do we expect as you grow up your way?
The second question I'll answer first. What you should expect after 18 is in the book. The roller coaster ride.
No. So in effect, you have rebooted yourself. So I'm sure you're not going to go through the similar things again in your life, right?
No.
What do we expect you to do as you go to 19?
If you go to the end of the book, I said the roller coaster ride actually gets steeper and bigger and complex ones. You just learn to tighten your seat belt and enjoy the damn ride instead of closing your eyes and screaming. Yeah. So keep your eyes open, enjoy the ride. So the roller coaster continues. I don't think I can say it becomes any smoother. It's just that you know it's a ride and you just start enjoying it. And the reason for the title was simply, I thought that was the starting point of where I'm, starting the book with. So, starting adult life, starting our life, 18 is just, representing that. And the whole zeal, the energy, that with the mood, the attitude with which we start off, and then what happens?
Driving license.
Yeah, exactly. You start driving and, you have your first crash too.
Crash.
Which also happens.
That also. But that can happen earlier.
Can happen. Yeah, totally.
Yes, please.
Hi everybody. I know Archana Didi from last 5-6 years. Okay. Whenever we met her in a home or coffee shop or something, always she's sharing some her past experience. Beginning from Delhi, from Mumbai, then here she shifted so many places, so much jobs in Chennai. What is her latest experience? All everything is in book. And she was from last, I have seen her from last 5-6 years, and she was when I put it here, when I put like that, and today she is releasing, I'm feeling very proud here.
Thank you.
Very much happy.
He is my little kiddo. He calls myself Deer, so I call him then brother. But he is one kiddo. Like I'm actually totally so proud of him because he's a self-made person. And yeah, I don't want to get into too much of detail. That's your book, so please write and please release. But I think he's an amazing person who has made from where he was to where he is today. Amazing. Time to take his autograph soon.
She's my back support.
Nice. So, ladies and gentlemen, we come to that time of the evening where I say thank you, all of you, for your time, for your support towards Archana and the book, and for your support to all of us for actually listening to us spew all these great big words of wisdom that we just managed to speak here. But thank you. Before you leave, please do make sure that you get a copy of your book, a picture and the signature. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.